welcome back to my channel, or if you're new then welcome. As you can tell, this is a birth story video. I'm just going to go straight in because I don't want to like talk too much. So this is Myla. Myla was born on the 15th of June. She came so quickly, but you'll understand that in a moment. So I don't know if anyone knows, but I was induced. I was induced, but I wasn't. So the only induction period I had was the fact that they broke my waters. Let me try and get dates up. So the Saturday before she was born, the Sunday before she was born, so the 14th of June, I actually went into the day unit at my hospital, which is where you can get monitored and stuff when you're pregnant. Because I was having like a reduced movement, so between 6 AM and 2 PM I'd only felt her move twice, which was weird because usually she would move like every hour at least. So I rang them just to check, and I went in, all was fine, but then I got checked, and the midwife that checked me could feel my waters and said that if needed we could actually break my waters. So she booked me in for an induction the next morning. That brings us on to the 15th, the day that Myla was actually born. And she okay, there we go. So that morning I went into the hospital alone because of COVID. No one's allowed to go with you. So I went in alone, and it still didn't feel like I was going to have a baby that day. And I think it's because when I was induced with Chase, it took so long that I just wasn't expecting it all to happen in one day. Fast forward to 12 PM. 12 PM came, and that's literally at 12 o'clock they broke my waters. I then got told to walk around and do as much like moving as possible to try and get her to come on her own. Also, I forgot to mention, because I had Group B Strep, I had to have antibiotics throughout my labour, which has to happen as soon as your waters break. So as soon as they broke my waters, they put the drip in. But it takes 20 minutes to get into your system, and then they take it out. So you have a cannula in your hand, arm, wherever they put it. I had it in my hand. And they then basically just, you sit there for 20 minutes, get that into your body, and then you can go around and walk and everything. So if you've got Group B Strep, don't worry, you can still do things. I ended up walking right up and down the stairs several times in them 2 hours, because they check you every 2 hours after you've had your waters broken. Are you tired? Yeah, all that moving. So at 2 o'clock they checked me. I hadn't progressed at all much, to be honest. I think I went from like 2 centimetres to like 3, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And so they put me on the drip, which encourages contractions. When I say encourages, I mean it like makes them happen quite quickly. So I got put onto that, but at like about 3 o'clock I'd say. They put it up so it goes from 1 mil to 2 mils to 4 mils to 6 mils to 8 mils to 12 to 16, and then 18 and 20, I believe. I got to 18. I didn't need 20 because by that point I was in full-on labour. I asked Tom to come in just before that actually, because I was getting really bored. So he came in, and they put me on the drip. I basically just bounced on my ball. I stood up and walked a bit. I sat and did nothing for a bit, but I sat upright in the bed, so they can make the bed a chair, and that's what they did for me because it was just more comfortable. That's also how I ended up giving birth, in that position. But yeah, so I was on the ball. Whilst I was on the ball, I FaceTimed my mum and my sister and Chase, because obviously he was with them. All was so great, you know, just rolling with those contractions. But and it actually felt like my mum and my sister were there, but then I ended up needing the gassonet. It took me a good while, but I needed it eventually, so I asked for that. I had that, and then not even long after getting that, so I probably got that at about 6ish, not even 6ish, maybe after that. Can't really think. At about 7 o'clock, me and Tom made a little bet on when baby girl would arrive, and it turned out we were both wrong. Tom was closer than I was, I think. I said more about like midnight to the next day. He said that day, so Tom was more right than I was. But yeah, so about 7 o'clock we made that bet. I was still having contractions, obviously. They were getting closer and closer together and harder to deal with, but I kid you not, right? So I breathed through every contraction, and I actually am very proud of myself, because I feel like I'd never like read anything to do with hypnobirthing or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure hypnobirthing is to do with your breathing and stuff. So I did it without even doing it, if that makes sense, without realizing I was doing it. And I literally, I'm just so proud of myself that I managed to do that. Tom was quite helpful in the fact that he sat there and just listened to what I wanted. He did what I wanted, literally, so he was so good. And I ended up needing the toilet. So I went to the toilet. That was at about, I'd say, at about 8 o'clock I needed a wee. But I felt the need to push. It was weird. So I went to the toilet by myself, obviously, with my drip, carrying that along the hall. Went to the toilet, which was literally opposite my room. And then I was on the toilet and I had a contraction, which is the worst possible thing to happen. So I had that. And then I then went back to the room, and I felt the need to push. So I got on the bed. I didn't tell anyone this yet. I think I told Tom actually, but I didn't tell the midwife or anything. I got onto the bed, and I was in dying pain, and I was literally telling the midwife, I said, I need to push. I don't think she realised how quite ready I was. She was like, okay. So she checked me. She's telling me not to push. There I am, struggling not to push, but I'm pushing. I couldn't help it, like, it was happening. My body was pushing. I wasn't. I was trying hard not to, but my body was. So that was quite difficult. But she was checking me, and she said, I heard her say to the student midwife that I'm only 5 centimetres. And I was just like, what? But at the time, like, I didn't fully think about it, because I was literally, my body was pushing and I was trying not to, so that's all I was trying to think about. Then 5 minutes later, the baby pops out. So Myla actually pushed me from 5 centimetres to 10 centimetres within 5 minutes. She was coming whether they liked it or not. It was the quickest labour possible, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure the first bit of labour, they say it takes a while with raspberry leaf tea, but the second bit, it helps, the raspberry leaf tea, like if you've had it in your pregnancy. I had it a lot in the last 3 weeks, and I am almost certain that that helped with that second bit of labour, of her just popping out from 5 centimetres to 10 centimetres. I am almost positive that was her and the raspberry leaf tea. But yeah, so she literally came. I had no epidural this time round. This time around was a lot nicer delivery. I think it's because I did do all that stuff, like I did have the raspberry leaf tea and stuff. And I prepared my body more this time, I feel like. And also obviously it's a second baby, so like my body is more prepared anyways. I was just so happy with how it turned out. I think someone's gonna go to sleep in a minute. I was just so happy with how it all turned out, honestly. It makes me so happy, but I'm gonna cry because the thought of it is like, oh my god. I forgot to mention how old she is actually today. So what is it? It's the 4th of July. Oh, it's the 4th of July. She's actually 2 weeks and 6 days. No, 2 weeks and 5 days. 2 weeks and 5 days old. So she's almost 3 weeks on Monday. Aren't you? Smiling. I just hope that everybody currently going through a labour and delivery within COVID gets what they want. I did not want to be induced. I made that certain to the midwives. I never wanted to be induced, but they thought it was for the best on that day, so that's what happened. I was quite annoyed, but at the same time I was like, whatever, it is what it is. If that's what they think's best, that's what they think's best. So that's what happened. I'm just so happy that it went so well, because it literally could have gone so wrong, especially because she was pushing herself out technically. It could have gone so wrong, but I'm just so happy with how it turned out. I'm kind of hoping I've literally said everything, because nothing really happened between like the 3 p.m. and the 6 p.m. 7 p.m. kind of time. All that happened was that I walked around, bounced on a ball and did all that kind of stuff. Other than that, nothing happened. So I hope you don't feel like I've not giving you information, because there was literally no information between those hours other than I just bounced, walked, watched films of Tom. Like, we literally didn't do anything. Oh, and ate food. Do you know what I mean? Well, from when I had the drip in, I couldn't eat, so I ate a lot of food before that. But that is all for this video. Little Miss Myla is perfect, aren't you? You most perfect little girl ever. Yes. And she looks just like her daddy. And she's getting angry just like her daddy. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.